This is Mukta here.
Hi, Mukta.
How are
Nice
you?
to meet you. I'm good, thank you. So I'm Nireshni from the admissions office in Carnegie Mellon University.
Yeah.
I
Yes.
believe Rajiv will join in soon.
Mm-hmm. Right.
We
And
have
how's the
people also
situation in South
joining.
Australia?
Oh, it's really good. We haven't had any cases of COVID-19 for quite a while. Things are looking good. People are returning to work slowly. So it's quite
Yes.
good. And how about in India?
A lot of cases. I
Yeah?
think we are going in lockdown again. They have announced lockdown on all weekends and public holidays
Oh,
because they
wow.
say because then people don't get to meet each other because they
Okay.
generally go out on weekends and public holidays.
Correct. I also heard from one of our current students who's currently studying in, I think, his last semester. And he's emailed me this morning saying that the exams have been put on hold, their
Yeah.
final
Yes.
exams. Is that correct?
Yeah. Yes,
Wow.
it's correct.
So then the students won't be graduating and receiving their certificates as per normal because you're not sure when the exams will be.
Yeah.
Mm.
For students who already have their degrees and are working, it's absolutely fine. But for
Okay.
students who have to complete this year, it's a big issue.
Okay.
Especially intellectuals, like, they can't use IELTS. So there are some countries which accept only IELTS.
Okay.
TOEFL is accepted everywhere, but then TOEFL at home, people have just come to know.
Okay. So the
then
IELTS as well, they
earlier
have
everyone kept waiting. Earlier everyone just kept waiting that things are going to get okay.
Okay.
But then, now it seems like, you need alternates.
Okay.
It's like
Hi, Rajiv.
university starting the online classes.
Mm-hmm.
Hi, Rajiv. Welcome to our Zoom call.
Mm-hmm.
We have people who are joining in, newer people who are also coming in, some students, some from our team. And
Sure.
I have a few questions that the students have already sent in, students who could not be here because they're all working right now.
Okay.
And do you think we should dive into the call then? Should I dive into the questions?
Sure, you can.
Yes. That
Okay.
would be excellent.
Okay, I'll just introduce people over here to what we are doing. So this is the Zoom call for Carnegie Mellon University. And all of you are, some are potential students there, and some people are from our own team, and people who have a lot of questions. And we're just going to keep letting people in as this call progresses. Is that all right?
Sure.
Am I audible to all?
Correct.
Yes.
You are.
All right.
Yes, ma'am.
Lovely. Perfect. So we have the question that every single student has asked so far is, when will we be able to join? Is the intake getting pushed further, or is it going to be next year, August?
It definitely won't be next year, August. For now, we are still, I'm issuing COEs to students to commence their visa application for the start of August 2020.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Perfect. So when students get admitted, will they get their visas? And if they do get their visas, how will they be? What kind of traveling can you expect from that?
So should the students receive their visas on time, right? They obviously, when their flights are arranged and they arrive in Adelaide, they will have to go through this quarantine process. So which would be 2 weeks. Now, CMU has offered package, arrival package for all students, as I'm sure Rajiv would have mentioned. The students enrolled in the MSIT or the MSPPM program in Australia for the 2 years will be offered the 4,500 Australian dollar package, which the students will use to their discretion, either for their flight tickets, for paying for their accommodation for the quarantine process, or a laptop or a mobile phone. It will be up to them whatever they choose to use that package for. And all they need to do is pay for it, and they will send their receipts to our finance department, who will then reimburse them.
Okay, perfect. That sounds good. So in case Indian lockdown does not lift by then, what options do the students have then?
Rajiv, do you want to answer that? We can't hear you, Rajiv. You're very soft. No, can't hear you.
Can't hear you at all.
Okay, while Rajiv is sorting his microphone out, is there another question that you want to be answered?
Yes, absolutely. So this is also a question that a lot of students have. So do we qualify for the 2-year or the 3-year post-study work visa?
Doing the 21-month program, it will qualify you for the postgraduate visa for the 2-year master's program.
Perfect.
Yeah.
And okay, so this is a question which a student had, and he had been asking me for quite some time. So how do we know if our profile is good enough for CMU? What is the ultimate deciding factor? Marks are all right, work experience is all right. What is the ultimate deciding factor?
So that is actually really, it's not an answer that I can give you clearly, like saying, okay, you met the minimum requirement, English requirement, or you met the requirement for the GRE. It actually, the committee reviews the entire application. So they'll look at the student's work experience, internship experience, the transcripts, for the undergraduate degree. They will take everything into consideration, and then they will get back to the student.
Perfect. So
the only advice I can give, if students have do you call it backlogs in India in the bachelor's degree, if they have a few, I would recommend that in the SOPs, which is the statement of purpose, you explain that. So, if there's something that the student can explain, they need to explain it in the SOPs. The other advice that I give all students is, please write the the statement of purpose in your own words. Do not copy anything from the internet, because that automatically results in a rejection for a student.
perfect.
So, it's quite important that the student writes it in their own words.
Perfect.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can. Yeah.
Yes, so what was the question?
So the question was, in case Australia lifts their lockdown and India doesn't for this particular August 2020 intake, so where do our students stand in that?
Okay, that's a good question, Mahima. Now, in case if Australia lifts its lockdown and India doesn't, then we won't. Obviously, the Indian government won't allow students to travel, to Australia. So in that case, they'll probably have to defer. Or the other option is they'll start on a hybrid model, whereby for a period of time until the Indian government opens up the travel ban, they will do it remotely from India. And as soon as India opens up, then they can apply for a visa and come here and commence.
And in case they don't get a visa?
Okay, that's a good question, because I attended a webinar by Department of Home Affairs last Friday, and they did mention that there's no guarantee, right? If a student wants to commence the studies in India, obviously they don't need a visa, right? So they are, on one hand, they encourage students to commence the studies, in India, but they don't need a visa for that. But however, if they want to travel to Australia, then they should apply for a visa. But there's no guarantee that they will be granted a visa. That's up to the immigration department. We cannot comment on that.
But let's say the student has been accepted, given the offer letter, and when we give the COE, the student is not able to get a visa, then of course we'll give the student the option to defer.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, the deferment option is always there.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, that's really good. All right. So a question that one of our students has is, am I allowed to work part-time? And if I am, is it recommended that I do it?
I don't recommend it in the first semester. I would recommend that the student gets used to the studying requirements. The program is quite intensive, so my advice to students is always on the first semester, don't decide to look for a part-time job. But of course, once you know get settled and you manage your time with all your assignments and the exams and everything included, then of course by all means apply for part-time jobs, and you are allowed according to the student visa to work part-time.
Perfect. Okay, so what does the university do to make the job process simpler?
So job process as in part-time jobs or after
No,
graduation?
after graduation.
So I will get Rajiv to answer that question.
So we have a dedicated team here whose role is to assist students both with internships when they are studying here at CMUA, and also to assist with full-time, job roles. And quite a few of our students, the way we have timed, as I mentioned in my training earlier, the way we time our internships is in the last semester. So that we are seeing a trend in the last few years. A lot of our students who are getting internships with companies. In some of the cases, the companies like them and they actually sponsor them for the full-time roles. So they can be assured we have good resources here to assist them with internships and full-time jobs.
All right, perfect. And another question is professional development taught as a course, or is it just a part of every course that you do?
Professional development.
Yes.
So Rajiv, do you know if professional, I'm not sure that they actually
I don't think we have a subject called professional
professional
development.
development. No,
Yeah.
because we are IT focused and public policy focused.
PPM. But however, I think maybe what you might be referring to is, the soft skills, perhaps,
Yeah, soft
getting
skills.
ready for employability. Yes. So
Resume
that
making,
Oh,
interview
yes,
skills,
correct.
things like that.
Yeah. How to make a
no,
resume.
they will have. Yeah, we do have the career services who will actually discuss, especially when they applying for the internship. That's when they will be discussed how their resume should look like, and interview skills. So they will get help with that.
All right. All right. So, Ishan, I'm going to put you on the spot here a little bit. If you could unmute yourself. So, Ishan
Yeah.
is one of our applicants who's here. And
Mhm.
Ishan,
Hi,
if you
Ishan.
have any questions at all, we have two people from the university to sort out anything you might have.
Yeah, so I actually had a couple of questions. The first one was, are we more oriented towards the consulting side when we're getting a job in the last semester or the internship in the last semester? Do we go more into the technical side of it, or do we go more into the consulting side of it? And when people are coming to pick us up, what are the companies that are coming most? Consulting side, or is it the technical core technical side?
I think, Ishan, it depends on your interest and your core competencies as well to a certain extent. So I think it's a combination of both. You may end up in a technical side of things or also in the consulting side of things. Do you agree, Naveshni?
Correct.
Yep.
Right.
So we get students who end up in both sides of roles, and also a lot of students prefer to get jobs in the public sector with government companies here in Australia, and a lot of them want to do it in private companies. So different students have different preferences. So I think the grooming will start, if I may use the term grooming, as we just discussed. They will arm you with all the soft skills, how to prepare a resume, interview techniques, and all these things will be happening. At the same time, you will be doing some elective subjects as part of your program. So then, you will be able to narrow down your focus, your area of interest. So if you are more inclined towards the technical aspects of things, even with your internships, we'll try to place you in a company with that type of a role.
All right. So, and another question was, which semester do we start getting placed in? As in, companies start coming to pick us up in which semester? Because according to me, first two semesters you're not allowed an exchange program in Pittsburgh, if I'm not wrong. Second, third, and fourth are the semesters in which you can actually probably go for a exchange program. Am I correct in understanding that?
Yep, either third or fourth semester.
Okay. So now, let's say in the last semester you go to Pittsburgh for an exchange program, right? Would you be allowed to get picked up there? As in, would you be allowed to sit in the placements there in Pittsburgh? or do you have to come back to Australia and then sit there?
No, if your degree is Australian degree, you will have to complete it here. You wouldn't be allowed to complete the degree in the
So
US.
technically, okay, so technically you'll have just one semester, which is the third semester to go
Exchange
and for
semester,
an exchange.
correct.
Right.
And then
Understood.
also to keep a note, if you're going to
Mhm.
apply for the postgraduate visa here in Australia,
Mhm.
so then you'll have a choice, right? So if you do an internship, you'll have to do that internship within Australia itself if you decide to do an exchange semester in the US. You
Alright,
cannot
okay.
do an internship internationally and do the
Mhm.
exchange semester because then you won't qualify for the postgraduate visa.
You need to be in
Understood.
Australia for at least 16 months. Yeah.
16
Of
calendar
course,
months
course.
of coursework.
So first two semesters should be in Australia, and the third semester is basically the option in which if you make it to 3.5 GPA, you can actually go
Correct.
to Perth. Okay, understood.
Yes. Yes.
And one last question is, I mean, I've been doing my research, and according to that, as compared to Adelaide, there are more companies in Melbourne and more companies in Sydney. Do they come to Adelaide to pick people up from Carnegie Mellon, Australia?
No, so it's not like CMU in Pittsburgh where they have like a
Mhm.
career expo where all the companies actually go to the Pittsburgh campus. Here, the companies will let you know, will let the careers department know of the internships that are available, and then students will have to apply.
Right. Okay. Okay. Understood. And how many months is the internship for? Like according to the course, mandatory?
It's for one semester. So
One
basically,
semester.
the
All right.
two-year program is broken up into 5 semesters. So you
Mhm.
start in August, you do first 2 semesters. If you are thinking of
Right.
exchange program, you can only go after finishing the second semester. So as we discussed, either third or fourth semester, and then you come
Okay.
back and you do the internship in the final semester.
All right. Okay. Yeah. I think and the course I'm actually planning for is more inclined towards the information security part, not the policy management part. So are we more into the like how do I put it? Into ISO 27001 regulatory audit side, or are we more into the penetration testing and ethical hacking side when we going for an information security perspective? Specializing in information security or information security management.
Sorry, can you just repeat that?
Yeah, sure. So when we go for an information security management related as in specialization course,
Yeah.
are we focusing more on audit side as in ISO 27001, ISO 27002 and all, or are we focusing more on the core technical, which is the pen testing and ethical hacking side? Because these are two very different focus areas.
Okay.
That will depend on your electives.
That would be a question for our faculty who actually teaches that
Right.
course. So if you can email that question to Rajiv, Rajiv will probably check with the required faculty and get back to you on that.
Most definitely, I'll actually do that.
I can
Sure.
liaise that with you. Just send that
Yeah.
to me and I'll liaise that with you.
Definitely, I'll do that. Sure. I think that's just about it. These are the only questions which I had in my tips. Rest,
Perfect.
everything
Thank
is
you,
pretty
Ishan.
clear to me by your
You're,
website.
you're good and you're ready to submit your application now because we have 3 days left.
Yeah, most definitely. I'm on it. It's
You
right,
have to submit
right
before
here.
Monday.
All right, thank you, Sean. So
Sure.
we have Shivani who has some questions for you. Go
Hi,
ahead,
Shivani.
Shivani?
Unmute yourself.
Hi, how are you?
Good, thanks. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. Okay, I have a question that how university would help with the accommodation.
Okay, so regarding accommodation, because students have, so firstly, the university does not have accommodation, right? But we have our student services coordinator who will give you a list of several student accommodations in Adelaide, and she'll provide all the information, and all the students need to do is then view the different types of accommodation because everybody has a different taste, right? Some students I know, I also did student services, so I'm very well aware of the students coming from India. You like to share accommodation, right? And
That's
this
right.
to help you to cut down the cost, which is fine. So she will give you information on accommodations that you can rent, but she will not make that decision for you. She'll give you the advice. You will have to then decide where you want to stay and how much you want to pay towards your accommodation.
Okay. All
Okay.
right. Yeah. And I do have another question that when universities say that they would pay for GMAT or GRE, so that will be, I guess it will be in the form of reimbursement. So
Correct.
would that be at the time once the student gets the admission or irrespective of that?
No, so if a student has been accepted and given a place into the program, then you will submit your receipt for the GRE to the finance department
Okay.
and they will reimburse you.
Okay. All
Okay.
right. Yeah. And any criteria for the scholarship, or is there any sort of a test on the basis of which you'll decide that student will get the scholarship or not, or it is just on the basis of their scores and previous experience?
So generally the scholarship is merit based, okay? It depends on the merit of the application. However, this year, due to all this COVID related problems we have, the committee decided to just allocate the one scholarship, which is 32% for all 21-month program and 25% for the one-year program. So these are the
Okay.
set scholarship that all students will receive.
Okay. So
Okay.
irrespective of their scores, so and there's no other
Correct.
criteria.
Yes,
If you qualify for admission, you will get that scholarship
that scholarship.
automatically.
All
Yeah.
students will get it.
All right. That's
Also,
something
I'd like
nice.
to pitch in something here, Shivani. The acceptance rate for CMU is really, really low because they're a very selective university. So if you're getting admission there, that means you deserve that scholarship.
Correct. Correct.
Absolutely. Spot on.
All
That's a
right.
very big achievement.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. For now, I just had those questions in my mind. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Shivani.
Anyone who wants to ask any questions before I go to my next question that I'm still getting texts in from the students? All good? All right. So I have another question from one of our students. So they're saying, are your classes lecture based or more discussion based? And will there be a capstone project at the end?
Definitely 21-month program, you have the capstone.
Hmm.
And it's actually discussion as well as lecture. It's not just the faculty coming in and lecturing. They will want participation from the students. So it will be, dual lecture as well as participation.
Is participation marked? Like,
I believe it is.
yeah.
Yeah.
Because I think for
You know,
most US universities, participation has a certain percentage allotted to it.
criteria, yes, marking criteria.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a big thing for students from India over here, though. We're not really encouraged to participate. Now, I don't know, but we weren't. So
Okay.
it was a huge shock for us because our participation in business school was mandatory and it was
Okay.
30% of our total grade. So yeah, that was, yeah. So it's
Yeah.
a thing. Yeah, okay.
In Australia, discussion and participation plays a very important part in the
Perfect.
degree itself. Yeah.
And what kind of co-curricular activities can students have on campus?
So you're talking about
More social, like maybe
activity?
like debate clubs or green clubs or something like that.
Okay, so we have a what you call a group that's called the SRC, which is the Student Representative Committee. Now, every new intake, they will have elections for new members. So, the secretary, the chairperson of the SRC, and this team would actually, on behalf of the students, what can I say, schedule all these activities. So the general ones that I can give you offhand, and the only reason I can answer this is because this year my role changed a bit, but for the last 10 years, I was the manager of student services as well as admissions. So this year, I'm just doing admissions and alumni relations. So I can tell you from my experience in student services, the common activities, that social activities that we have during the year is a student international night, whereas, you know, we have a diverse group of students. So all the students dressed up in their cultural wear. So like
Costume. Yeah.
their cultural costume. Also, they will, you know, cook some of their cultural dishes. And they would have this event called the International Night, where they will, you know, so for example, Indian students will have the Bollywood dancing, you know, either singing or dancing, or, you know, and they cook all the cultural dishes. The Filipino students will, you know, they will also do an item. So it's quite a big event where all the students will decide what they want on that night and what type of you know, activities they would want. So that's one type of event. The other one, they will celebrate the Halloween night, you know, where students, so the students from the university's point of view will be given a budget for all these events, right? So it depends on how much the student budgets for every event. That's how many activities they would have for that financial year. So they are given the budget, I think in my memory, is $8,000 Australian dollars for that financial year. So, you know, the students, sometimes in Adelaide, they have this Mad March, Rajiv, what is it called?
Yeah, I think it's the Mad March. They have music festival. I mean, Adelaide is known as a city of festivals. So at any point of
Festivals, yeah.
a lot of activities going on, and the beauty about our campus is we are in the heart of the city. So
Yeah.
in the city center. So a lot of things happen just around our campus as well.
So, for example, if a student decides that they want to attend one of these events that's been held in Adelaide, then they will choose to use their budget for that. So they'll purchase the tickets and they will attend it. Or if the students feel that end of the semester, they finished exam week, they want to go to the movies. So they will use their budget to go for the movies. So it depends on the SRC and the current cohort of students, what the events would be.
Okay. All
As
right.
long as they manage their budget and they, you know, they don't go over their budget, they can plan their activities accordingly. So they also celebrate the Chinese New Year.
Right.
For Diwali every year, I was actually buying the sweets for the, you know, I didn't only buy for the Indian students, bought it for all the students. And, you know, some years I got, like last year, I made sure they get, you know, samosa and pakora, and then they had the sweets. So every year it changes. This year, I can't tell you what they're going to have because I'm no more in charge of student services, but whatever they plan, they will plan it together with the cohort of students.
Oh, that's really lovely. These are the things that you miss about home when you're out.
Correct.
Whether or not you eat them at home, it does not matter.
That's right. But you miss it when you're not at home.
Yes, absolutely. I have one last question from the students. So they're saying, are professors available for research with the students in case they, you know, want to pursue their PhD after, or even if they want to do a research during their masters? Are professors available for research?
So when you say are professors available, are you saying that is a professor here that would help a student throughout their PhD?
Not even PhD, maybe a research during the masters, like a joint paper or something. So do they have to go through the university for that, or can they just approach the professor directly?
I would say they can approach the professor, the relevant professor.
Right. Okay, perfect.
Just bear in mind, we don't offer PhD courses.
PhDs, yeah.
Yeah, no, of course, yeah. Okay, perfect. I think we are good with all our questions. Does anyone else have any other questions they want answered?
Yeah, actually, I just have some quick questions.
Yes.
So hi, Rajiv. First question was again related to researchers as well. Now, cybersecurity is just one side of it. There are quite a lot of applications of cybersecurity. My question was that, do we have any affiliations in any other companies, or not companies for that matter, any other universities which probably focus on robotics, so that we can, you know, cybersecurity and robotics can be one research field? Although I got that the university does not offer PhD programs, but still researchers are not always related to PhD. You can always apply a real world problem and then, try and find out situations and solutions. I'm asking from that perspective. Do we have any affiliations as such
Um,
between CMU and some
what
other
I
company?
Ishan, we are an American university campus in Adelaide. So when you talk about affiliations with other Australian universities, I'm assuming you're referring to Australian universities, or are you talking about
Yeah.
affiliations with American universities?
No, I'm talking about Australian universities since our campus is in Australia. So I'll be.
Okay. I'm not aware of, unless Nareshni, you please correct me, I'm not aware of any affiliations for research purposes we have with Australian universities.
Okay.
I'm not aware of that too. However, I have to say that, the students who's doing the MSIT programs, they have joint events with all the Australian universities, like, for example, the GovHack, which, teams, the students in different universities form teams, and they will come up with projects, and it will all, go through this GovHack, and, quite a few of our students have actually won this, like Rajiv, you may know of the Wise Car event, which is one of our students. So you can explain more on that, Rajiv, if you.
So, basically all our programs, whatever programs we deliver here, they are fully accredited. So when you talk about affiliation, there's a slight difference. I'm talking about accreditation. They are fully accredited, and our students undertake, as Nareshni mentioned, various projects, various competitions, and they have won awards in these competitions, because obviously, and a lot of our graduates end up getting jobs here in Australia, as I said, with government departments and, with the private sector. And because of the programs, the strength of our programs, what we offer, it's a global recognition, but obviously very strongly accepted here in Australia. So employers and companies know the value of Carnegie Mellon. And even when you look at the rankings of our university compared to the 40 universities here in Australia, we are way ahead of everyone in terms of Times Higher Education and all this. So I think the Carnegie Mellon value, the brand value, is very strongly recognized and accepted. So I think. So we don't, with affiliation side of things, as we said, we don't think we have any affiliations, but with accreditation, yes, we are fully accredited and our qualifications are fully accepted.
Now the next question was, like, let's say you go in for the August intake. Is most of it going to be online? Like initially, first semester, though, I presume is going to be online because of this COVID-19 situation which is happening. How do you create a interactive session between the class and the student in that case? Because it'll all be online. So as you said, it has a lot to play with class participation, quizzes, and everything, which I understand. How is that managed online?
Yeah. So when you say online, sorry, Nareshni, I'll just.
No, it's okay.
So when you say online hours, we don't like to, portray it as being online. What the model we have in mind is the virtual live sessions we are going to be having, right? So online, typically, you may have recorded lectures, for example, or the professor is just talking and everyone is just, listening and watching him on Zoom. So I think different approach here, where we are going to have live video, chat sessions. So you will actually, all the students, yourself and the other students, will actually be real time engaging with the faculty. You'll an opportunity for you to ask questions and go through the tutoring process while you are being taught. So that's the model. Go on, Nareshni, please add.
So I was just going to explain the same thing that Rajiv has explained to you. So, and I can give you this from a my personal experience. Currently, I'm finishing off my MBA with a different university in Australia. And I'm in my last semester, and I'm doing a business capstone as well as a foundation of information systems. And that's done online. So we are meeting with our organized company that we are working with online. They will ask, we do our presentations online, and they, of course, it's like you face to face, but you're doing it online. Do you understand what I'm saying? All the interactions, everything is live.
But I believe that will also matter on how many students there are in the class, right? A live interactive session with 200 people will be as much more difficult as compared to 60 people. So.
Sorry, say that again, Ishan.
200. If there are 200 people in the class, then it will be much more difficult to have a interactive session as compared.
I can assure you, we don't have 200 in our classes. So the students are split into sections. Right. So like database, for instance, will have 3 or 4 sections. You will never have more than 40 students in a class.
Right. Oh, okay.
Okay.
Sure. And that's just about